and welcome to the Gooners podcast. It's season 5, episode 63, called This One's for Glen. I think we all know the Glen that we're talking about, and it's a happy Friday here with 3 happy, attractive, wonderful gentlemen, of whom's background, religion, race, and creed I'm not going to ask any questions of because it doesn't matter. So with me, alongside me, is my running mate, Mikey Hers. Now the only Mike on the podcast, now that I'm known as Magic. How you doing, Mikey?
I'm doing great, man. Just everything we wanted and more yesterday. Couldn't be more thrilled about that.
Good, and then Arsenal also won today, right? I mean,
they played yesterday?
Yeah. Actually, Arsenal did win today. The U23s did advance in the FA Youth Cup. Not a bad game. Not a nice performance against West Ham. But we'll probably spend less time talking about that today than yesterday's game. Making a long-awaited return to the Gooners podcast after many months. Former Ipswich Town goaltender extraordinaire and podcaster of significant note, Craig, a.k.a. Scotty Boy Gooner. Welcome back to the Gooners pod. You're looking sharp.
Thank you very much indeed for asking me back. I've got to keep my voice down a bit, but I'm hoping I'm coming through loud and clear because I've already been told off by my wife because I was shouting apparently. So can you hear me all loud and clear? Thank you very much. Hello, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, no, it's okay. We're gonna make this a whisper cast. So
can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Just to make you feel better, we're all gonna whisper.
Thank you very much for inviting me back. Much appreciated. Glad to be back.
We've always there's always an open spot. We just tend to podcast past your bedtime most of the time. So.
Well, unfortunately, you don't podcast past my bedtime, but you podcast
right.
Past 3 other little people's bedtimes.
That's true.
Which called rank, of course.
We call them dwarves, but it's okay. And of course, there's Danny. Danny, the GFP, Bergkamp Wonderland, 2021 World Kettle Champion. I am in love with this thing, by the way. I have to say, it may not be the kind of kettle that I was supposed to buy, but goddamn, is it the newest best thing in my life? Sorry, Mikey.
Where's Andy?
Danny, welcome back to the pod.
I'm only here because I thought Andy was going to be on.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
You really struck out with that one. I think we've had him for a total of about 5 minutes in the last 3 months. The guy
has he gone full Chris Carpenter and only turns up once a year?
I think he's headed that direction. Except the only difference between the two of them is that Andy Rhodes never informed me about this great kid in 2016 named Kylian Mbappe that was going to be really good. So I mean, he's not even good for that. What's up with you lately, man? How you been?
Mate, I'm very good. I'm slightly on the wonk because when I sat in my chair today, I sat in it at the wrong angle, and I couldn't be bothered to get back out again and sit in it properly. So I'm slightly over to the left like that. The complete opposite to my political leanings.
Well, then let me offset you because apparently our heads are both the same weight, the same size, and the same visual.
The only way to separate us is our tasting kettles. My one is a 77-second kettle. How long is yours? How long have you? If you boil a thimble full of water, can you get it done in under an hour?
No, we actually can't. I came to the conclusion that the initial test, which was of course recorded and uploaded to YouTube as per usual. The first time I do anything is that. There's a YouTube video from like 30 years ago that you should see. But the first time I did it, I filled it pretty significantly high. It took 5 minutes to boil, which to me, as long as I can multitask, it's no big deal. I can't believe we're still talking about this, by the way. But in the last couple days, I've just done a liter. All I need is a quarter of a liter for my soups. I've just done a liter. It's taken about 2.5 minutes. And, I was microwaving it for 3.5 minutes, standing in front of radiation and losing valuable productivity at work. So, I mean, my life has improved so much. And I have, the internet to thank for that. So
just don't spill it because I've seen you've got flappy arms. You don't need a boiling kettle in front of you with your flappy arms.
I do. My arms sometimes just kind of seize, and I have restless leg syndrome, but for real. But I do also now have restless arm syndrome. So that's about all the kettle talk that we can take. And so anyway, 4-0 against Slavia Praha. Now we can call them that. We're not even going to give them the respect of saying the anglicized version of the city. It was nice to get those bastards out of the cup, out of our way, do a bit of a favor for mankind. And, we had some good conversations with a number of people yesterday on the open mic show, but today's going to be a little bit more of a formatty type of show. And because Mikey Hers has a format set for us, I'm going to kind of pass the baton over to you, and let's talk about this masterpiece.
This masterpiece, yes.
We're back, right?
Yes, of course. Can't wait, guys. This was a great game overall, and I mean, there's positives all around, so there's plenty to talk about. And as Magic Mike likes to say, we're fair weather podcasters, so if we would have lost, we wouldn't be here right now. So I'm happy in multitude of opportunities I get to talk to Craig, Danny, Mike. It's great stuff, Anyways, gentlemen, let's dive into the game. Starting lineups. Mike, were you surprised at all that Arteta used an actual professional game of football in the league to test what went down on the Europa League? Because overall, there's like one change between the league and the Europa League, and I was a bit surprised, and I mean, another gamble that paid off for Arteta.
Yeah, the question is whether that was the plan all along, or whether things just went so swimmingly on Sunday that he decided to, 4 days in between, no new injection of somebody like Aubameyang to cause a selection issue or problem, no real significant returns from injury other than ESR, which is a significant one, but but there's no decision to be made there. You put him in, as well as Martinelli played. We could debate that, I suppose, but so I'm not that surprised, but I'm glad, because had he gone to what some of us feared he was going to go back to, Willian, the maybe El Neni, although it might have been an all right game for El Neni to start, but had he gone with that kind of a lineup, I'm not sure we would have had the spark that we did. So I think this lineup we'll see for better or for worse. I think we'll see them probably most of the way through the next couple of months. And if the success is the same as it has been, then I'm all for that. Martinelli can come off the bench as long as we're performing with our starting 11 like we are, and he's not coming off the bench for William. Or Alba.
An emphasis on William. Well, speaking of Alba, Danny, I'll talk to you about this one, because you tend to be a little bit similar like me when you see rumors circulating online. You see stories being broke by journos and giving their opinion about some breakup between Alba and Arteta. So obviously, he was absent again last night, but he broke the news himself that he got sick with malaria. And it was kind of striking to me the time in which
Danny's going to say something about the way you just pronounced that. I'm sure I can see his wheels turning in his head.
Every time you say Arteta.
Arteta. Oh, that only not even
malaria.
Sounds so poetic. It's lovely. Come carry on. Sorry.
That's why we hired him.
That's it. That's all it is. It's the pronunciation of Arteta that got me on this podcast for sure. Danny, are you one to get caught up in the rumor mill when it comes to like, hey, breaking news, Arteta and Alba might have been falling out? And more importantly, one subject that I want to cover was, what do you think about the timing in which Alba released this information? Because it was like right around pre-game, kind of an odd time for some people that they broke the news. Do you think it was him trying to quell and calm the rumors himself, or it just so happened that him or his social media team just so happened to post the story at that time?
Oh, I'm sick and tired of people's social media teams. Didn't Foden's social media team put up a tweet, something like, come on, Mbappe, or something like that? Why these players? As a player, I would say either I run my social media or I don't have one. I'm not letting you morons. And you'll say, we all know that whenever foreign players at Arsenal do their tweets, it wasn't them, or one of the younger players, because most of them can't spell properly. So they're not doing it themselves. So I would hope and expect that tweet from Aubameyang was in conjunction with permission from the club and permission from Arteta, and the whole thing was timed. It wasn't an Ozil, let's undermine the team, let's take away any kind of emphasis that the team is going to do. Just the pressure's off of Arteta. Aubameyang's come out and said, I'm ill, I'm in bed, I've got malaria. I think that's how we pronounce it. So as to believe it, I don't believe it until I see it on well, I've got Arsenal blocked on Twitter, but until someone retweets something from Arsenal on Twitter, and that's the only time that I'll believe it, or if it's in the paper, or if it's a decent journalist like Simon Collins or Charles Watts. He's another really good one that I like to keep an eye on, or Amy, or any of that lot. Once it's a reliable source. If it's one of these like ArsenalInsideInfo.com with their 500,000 bought followers, all of which are spam bots, then I've got most of those blocked as well because they're morons. They're attention seekers. So hopefully it was in conjunction, and I think that might have taken pressure off of the team maybe a little bit, letting know that our captain is genuinely ill.
That may be like a "let's do this for Ava" type of reaction. Although they're not looking at their Twitter at 15 minutes before the game. So
or are they? Dun dun dun. Craig, before we dive into the actual game, something that stood out is a now iconic picture that's circulating online, which was Lacazette kneeling directly in front of the Slavia team, looking them directly in the eyes. After the game, Arteta spoke about it. There you go. After the game, Arteta spoke about it, saying that the players took the initiative, spoke to Arteta about it, spoke to the club, and they were all pro. Leaving sporting opinions on the side, how proud of you are you that we have players that will represent club values the way they did, and Lacazette taking the initiative to just walk up and sit there or knee down the way he did?
Oh, massive. It's massive, mate. Massively proud of him. When I was watching it and I was looking at the faces of the Prague players, it kind of reminded me of players looking at New Zealand do the haka. It really did. And I know that sounds kind of stupid. Like, the Prague players actually looked quite put back that a black man was kneeling down in front of them and looking at them straight in the eyes. And yeah, I am really, really proud of Lacazette and the rest of them for doing what they done last night. Look, I'm not going to paint every single Prague player with the brush. The one player that made the racist comment has been dealt with. Although I think that punishment is too lenient. It's absolutely ridiculous. I hear that Glen Kamara's ban was supposed to be 5 games. But they pulled it back to 3 games because apparently he beat him up in a tunnel. Do you know? I'll take 3 games for beating up a racist. How they can even begin to ban Glen Kamara, I don't know. UEFA had a massive chance to put this to bed once and for all by sending out a clear message to any footballer who had a notion in his brain to go over to a fellow professional and abuse him for the colour of his skin. And once again, they have bottled it. So now what they have done, they have put it back into the players' hands to show that they will not, they won't accept it. See, the thing is, with this knee kneeling business came from obviously the unfortunate events that happened in America with the George Floyd murder, right? But now it means more than it's kind of it's kind of the tide has kind of turned now, and now it means more than any. No, that's actually a very wrong thing to say. You know what I'm trying to say? Not that it means more because a black player has been abused, but now it's more empowering now because it's happened. They're taking the knee because it's happened in football. No one's been, I understand that no one's been murdered in football, but it's more poignant now more than ever because it's happened in football. Someone has been racially abused on a football pitch doing his job by a fellow professional. And they should have been chucked out of the competition. How they've been allowed to carry on playing is beyond me. People will say it was harsh on the other players who are not racist, but it's a team game. You have to, do you know, it's a team game. If you've got a player in your team who's a racist, I'm sorry, but if he does the crime, you have to do the time. And
Craig, we used to have a debate about, like, you know, should teams be thrown out of competitions because of something that their supporters do. This was an issue at a game at the Emirates, I believe. I forget who it was against now, but it was just in the last year or two. And the conversation was, of course they should be, set the precedent as a deterrent. But then there's this little bit that's like, well, could you get, you know, supporters buying tickets in the away section, dressing up in the away clothing, and racially abusing to actually undermine? I mean, you could get posers coming to do that, but
that's been happening for years, mate.
Right,
you know,
but this situation, there is no, like, there is no possible way that guy, you know, his entire thing was to harm Slavia Prague by saying something racist to Glen. He was representing the team in that moment.
Oh yeah. Sorry. I get what you mean now.
In a definitive way that supporters, you know, you don't know who a supporter is on Twitter. You can't even be positive in the actual stadium. That was he was wearing the club's badge at the time, speaking on behalf of the club, as you always are you wear the badge.
It's like me. It's if I go walking down the street here in Cork City in my Arsenal shirt, and I say something to someone like that, I'm representing you, Mike, Danny, everyone who's watching this podcast, everyone who watches my podcast, and every single Arsenal fan that sits in the Emirates Stadium. People say, no, you don't fucking represent me. But I do. Because
every Englishman that lives in Ireland, that's another
exactly. Everyone that sees that badge on my chest, that's what they will. I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but that's what they will see, and that's what they'll go to. Do you know? Oh, he's an Arsenal fan. All Arsenal fans must be like him. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I want to address something. There's some comments in the chat, and we welcome all opinions. Most certainly, you know, and there are some comments, and these are things I've heard before that, you know, that pose an opposing view towards the act of kneeling, and I welcome those, and I understand those. I mean, the act of kneeling doesn't, in and of itself, solve anything, nor does it, you know, nor should it be obligatory or otherwise.
Oh yeah,
I don't have a problem with Slavia Prague not kneeling. I also think that if, you know, to assume that Arsenal were coerced into kneeling, which it hasn't been directly said, or that, you know, politics should be kept out of football. Politics enter football when somebody racially abuses another player over the color of their skin. That is not a one-on-one crime deserving of a red card and a ban for one individual player. It's much larger than that. If it were down to that, it would be as part of the game as you know, as two-footed tackles are, pulling people back, and, you know, and fouls in the box, and that can't be the case. So yesterday, Arsenal were not coerced into doing anything. They decided as a team together, approached Mikel Arteta and said, you know, we're going to make a statement, and the statement is similar to the one we've been making in every game, but we're going to be overt in making sure that we do that in the face of another team who has had those issues. So, you know, I appreciate the expression of your own viewpoints in there. I don't know whether 100% of people want to kneel or not.
Well, I mean,
but frankly, this issue has been dealt with in American sports with regards to the singing of the national anthem, where, you know, many teams were actually boycotting the singing of the national anthem altogether because they didn't want to be in a position where they had to, you know, have the team decide whether to kneel or not kneel. Other teams have had people kneel and other players stand, but yet they were arm in arm to show unity.
You've only got to look at Wilfried Zaha. Wilfried Zaha said that he won't kneel because he believes that kneeling down shows the world how oppressed black people are, and I agree with him.
Everybody has their own reasons and causes.
Well, exactly, but
just dropped 2 points, which is lovely.
I agree with him. If he doesn't want to kneel down, I agree with him, and I agree with his reasons. But then I also agree with a black man that does want to kneel down.
Yeah, I don't think anybody.
No, absolutely not. No one is going to say to a black footballer or a black person, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing that." Do you know it's completely up to them. I would support Wilfred Zaha in his saying that I don't want to kneel down because I believe that it brings. I believe that it shows an oppression to my race of people. But then I would support a player like Lacazette who wants to show that it supports what happened to his race of people. Do you know? So it's a touchy subject. You have to be careful when you're speaking about something like that, because there's people out there that can get quite offended. I am in no way racist. I have never ever been racist, and I support. I support everyone. My analogy of life is: be nice to me, I'll be nice to you.
That's why I like.
And I wonder whether a lot of people.
Go ahead, Danny.
That's why
Mikey
I like. Yeah, that's why I like the fact that what Glen Kamara did. Personally, if someone racially abuses you, punch him in the face. Don't kneel for it. I mean, you kneel what you want to do. Stand on one leg. Yeah. Stand on one leg. Do whatever you want to do. Personally, if I had a teammate and someone was abusing him because he was black, I'd say leave it. I'll go and hit him. That's happened before with someone said something to Vieira, and didn't Nigel Winterburn or someone go up to and hit the person or shove the person and didn't want Vieira to get in trouble for it? I like Glen Kamara's style. Go and punch him. Absolutely. It's like Kev Campbell. Was it Kevin Campbell? Well, there was another ex-pro talking about it on the telly. I've seen so much telly, I can't remember what it was. And I think it was Kev. And he said he's had to put up with it in the past. And Glenn, our very own Paul Davis, someone racially abused him, Glenn Cockrell. He smacked him in the face. Well done. If you tell your teammate you're about to go and move to Atletico Madrid and you get a 12-game ban, and then you racially abuse someone and you get a 10-game ban, yeah. If you have Paddy Power written on your pants and you get a bigger fine as an individual than a club does for racially abused, having fans that do it all, FIFA's broken. They don't.
I mean, look, here's my example, Dan, and it's a great point you bring up. Here's my example. Rio Ferdinand got banned for 8 months because he wouldn't pee in a cup.
Yeah.
Here we have a player here now who is racially abused a player and he's banned for 10 games.
Yeah.
Is that how he gets called sick note?
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the thing about it is we all knew he was fucking growing cannabis anyway, so he should have just pissed in the cup.
I wonder how many people who view this now and have an opinion on it even know who Colin Kaepernick is. Because that is how the kneeling started.
And can I don't know if
Sorry, just come in there. By the way, if Rio Ferdinand's listening to this, I was only joking.
Yeah, obviously.
Craig's opinions do not reflect the values of the Gooner podcast.
When eventually a gay footballer comes out, and more power to him, and someone is going for being gay, also punch them in the face.
Absolutely.
I believe violence solves most things. And if you're going to be an arsehole to someone, I'm going to punch you in the face. I wouldn't care.
The opinions of Danny Seaman do not represent the Gooners podcast.
If I was playing with Ian Wright, one of my favourite footballers ever, and someone was abusive to him, I'd say, Ian, don't say a word. I'm going to go and punch him in the face. Ian, I don't want you getting in trouble for this because you're my mate, you're my teammate, and you're a legend. You're everything. You're everything that we love about football. And I'm not having it. And I don't want you getting in trouble for it. I'll take it. I'll fucking go and kick him in, punch him in the face and kick him in the balls. Not having it. But we all know FIFA, UEFA, it's all about the money. All about the Benjamins, as your lot say. That's all they give a fuck about.
All about the Benjamins, yeah. I'm going to add just one little thing to this. Is one thing that I've always found confusing, or something I strongly feel against, is that people refer to this as a political movement. I just look at it as a social movement. I think politics seeped into it because there's vested parties that have a horse in the race. But for me, this is just social. Like I don't. It's social. It's a social dilemma in which a person of whatever part of the world wants to treat somebody from another part of the world differently. I don't view that as political. So I don't agree with the comment that the club is getting involved into politics. To be completely honest, I look at it like this is a social matter that reflects or hinders a large part of the population of black players that are inside the not only just the sport, like Craig said, this is encompassing the whole world. So that's just my 2 cents on it. I've never
there is some melding of it together, I think, in some people's eyes, because there is a movement and a statement of Black Lives Matter, and then there is an organization called Black Lives Matter, and the organization is political. The movement and the statement and the intent and the emotion surrounding it, that is really what we're seeing in the I don't know what they call it, the things that now cover the seats in the Emirates, and the discussions and the banners. That's the social movement that you're talking about, Mike. And unfortunately, too often it gets melded together with the political movement and made into an us versus them thing. But, I just, no matter what you think about Black Lives Matter, no matter what you think about the kneeling, no matter what you think about whether, the standing, I don't think anybody's views, even the ones who I would consider somewhat opposing views in our chat right now, is the racism itself, the incident that happened, is disgusting.
Exactly.
And the moral of the story is if you're having a go at someone because they look different to you, you're a twat.
That, and you're going to get knocked out of the Europa League on an aggregate score of 5-1.
And it's not just this
At
either.
best.
I'm very green. I voted for the Green Party. I recycle everything. I'm very concerned about all those kind of things. I don't like Extinction Rebellion people. I think they're arseholes. What they're aiming for, I agree with. But the way they do it, I don't agree with. So you can support an ideology, but not necessarily support the people that are doing it or the way that they do it. Everyone can do many different things in many different ways. But it's just, yeah. I saw a brilliant thing that Greenpeace were doing. They were slightly off track, but they were getting massive, big, like 5-ton boulders, dropping them into the sea so that you can't have trawlers trawling the bottom of the oceans to drag up everything. And I thought, I don't really like Greenpeace, but I love what they're doing there. I don't like fish. Fuck fish.
Greenpeace is fine and all that, but if they're gonna cost me my lobster, then we're not having that. I'm sorry.
The point is, you don't have to support absolutely everything an organisation do, but most of them, they have their heart is in the right place, which is against arseholes and doing things which isn't good for the general public, general people.
Welcome to World Matters, presented by the Gooners podcast.
Yeah, every so often we get into something a little deeper than football. I think the last time we really got into it was around the time of our election. Me and Tanner had a drunken late night civility podcast of two people on the complete opposite side of the spectrum. But I
think we've got a new hashtag though. Sebastian's just brought in. Definitely got a new hashtag.
Stabby.
But going back to the point,
love me some
I would have liked to have seen. I mean, you had Olayinka playing for Sparta. I felt sorry for him. Now his teammates were all arm in arm and around him. If I would have been playing for Sparta, and I reckon they would probably agreed in total not to kneel. After that, I would have done. I'd have gone up to Lacazette. I'd have shook his hand and I'd have given him a hug and I'd have said sorry for what happened. That's what I personally would have done.
It's got to be fascinating what was going on behind the scenes, because this isn't like a. First of all, and again, this is kind of in response to some comments in the chat. I don't think anybody is indicating that Prague or even the Czech Republic is a generally racist place. This is one thing said by one person representing a small business, essentially a group, a club. It doesn't apply to everybody, although, I believe there was a banner and a fire and a picture or something like that in the wake of that incident. It happened. Yeah, by the supporters club or by some ultras. So, again, it isn't global, but to the area, but
until teams are kicked out, until players are banned for a year for doing it, they're not going to stop it. And FIFA, UEFA have shown they don't care. And as long as the people running the game don't care, it's never going to stop unless you have players knocking out players on the pitch.
Perhaps that's the answer.
Does someone want to tell Ray? Glen Camera.
He was
I realize.
A youth player.
Glen Camera, ex-Arsenal. Yeah.
now playing at Rangers. We let him go, and he played for a few clubs in England, and now he's gone there. He's
actually. I just want to answer a question. For Ray. My daughter is fine. Thank you very much, mate, for asking. Thank you.
Oh yeah, sorry about it. I didn't want to put that up there in case there was something.
That's all right. Yeah, just for people who are like, what's he going on about? We were doing a podcast yesterday, and my daughter fainted while we were doing a podcast, so I had to rush off. But she's fine. She's fine. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for asking. That's very thoughtful. Thank you.
Yeah, Ray. And by the way, you never asked how I was after I spit champagne out all over the computer. That was a really harrowing experience for me. So I appreciate you, really looking after me after that. All right, Mike. Can we get to the game?
Let's get to the game.
God damn, you're making me really jealous, Craig, because I'm 100% on the wagon, water and diet right now.
I have that as well.
It's working so far. I know you won't see it, but it's working so far. But it's Friday night, and I would kill for some red wine right now.
And lobster.
Only one glass. I've got to drive to the city tomorrow. I'm having an MRI scan on my left knee.
Oh shit! So Ray, make sure you get in there on Sunday and ask him how his knee is.
Yes.
All right, Mikey. Sorry, I think we
gentlemen. I don't know if you guys knew this, but there was a football game that we were going to talk about. So, while this conversation has been fascinating and it is very important to talk about, and a lot of great conversation came from it, let's not forget we whooped some ass yesterday, gentlemen, and it felt great for many, many reasons other than the conversation we just had. It's something that we've been hoping and waiting for as fans. So, Mike, we hit the floor running very early on in the game. The right side was just absolutely murdering them. First big play of the game was the disallowed goal. Millimetric, this VAR decision are ridiculous at this point.
Do we know whether it was millimetric? I mean, has there been a replay that's
I saw? Yeah, I was able to find one. Yeah, it's okay. Literally at the worry of you making a joke. It's like this much, Mike. Like
I would never do that.
Of course not. So how happy are you with the immediate response of the team right after that disallowed goal?
That's everything, because how many times have Arsenal, and I said this yesterday on the open mic, I mean, how many times has Arsenal kind of had something go against them, whether it's a missed penalty call or a shady penalty call against us, or just something that makes us completely drop our shoulders and our heads and feel sorry for ourselves for a period of time in which the game tilts in the opposite direction. And instead, this time we saw a team that, we weren't exactly dominating the first 12 or 13 minutes. It was kind of a feeling out process. Then we score that goal. It's called back. And that's when we turned the Jets on, and we're just like, we're not, this game isn't going to go like that. So, to me, that says a lot about the specific people that are out there on the pitch. That's not an Arteta thing, although it may be kind of a long-term, big-scale Arteta thing from just a mentality, coaching, and man management standpoint. But, I mean, that's these players basically looking at each other and saying, all right, so we didn't get that one, we'll get the next one, and soon. And they did. I mean, massive response. We're seeing some psychological, and I know every time we get excited about the psychological thing going over the, turning the corner, we end up, seeing a Burnley draw or something crazy like that. But, those are the things that when you find out which players are driving that and which players are driving the other, that's when you start to see, the guys that Arteta is gonna phase out and replace with players with that same mentality. To me, it's beautiful.
Yeah, no, I
was upset when the goal was called back. I was hanging my shoulders, but thankfully the team didn't hang theirs.
I was super late because my stream was already 5 seconds late. So I saw it, I celebrated on Twitter. And when everybody was complaining about the offside being called, I'm like, oh, well, I'm really late to the party. So fantastic stuff, though, the bounce back in. I think I often say this, and it's important for me to throw this out there, is anytime you see a rumor when there's like a locker room turnaround where they're not trusting Arteta, just put it to bed, because there's some performances of this season that are just too good to just ignore and pretend like a team would play for their manager in that sense. So moving a little bit forward, Danny, our first
So
goal
you're
came
saying that you don't think they've downed tools?
Absolutely not. No, and you just needed to say that, huh, Mike? You just needed to.
Yeah, I had to interrupt your flow just so I could get the bell in. I'm sorry. I'm a jerk.
No, it's all good, dude. So shortly after, as Mike said, we poured on the pressure, Danny. Our first goal game. Yeah, Saka with a brilliant shot from outside. Danny, Pepe, man, he has to be the most honest player in football today because the amount of pressure he came under the defender, I could see multiple players diving, but he stood tall and put that goal away. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's what the commentator said. I can see him running into goal now. He had a bloke slightly behind him. He had a bloke to his right. If that had been Harry Kane or Son or any of those other divey twats, he'd still be rolling now. He'd have rolled himself right into the back of an ambulance and off to the nearest hospital while claiming that he was near death. Wonderful. Even the commentator said something along the lines of, that's quite surprising that he didn't go down. I was expecting him to, but that just shows the confidence he has at the moment, which is taking him 18 months to get there. But it's really good because he's showing that he's on his game. And I've always said one thing all the way through the whole Pepe regime, as we shall never call it again. His ability to run at players, that's the bit that scares the life out of you. Like we've seen with Saka. Saka constantly runs past you, cuts it right side, left side, wherever it does. He turns them every single time. And that thing that goes round, the only player to have dribbled past Van Dijk before he had his legs broken by Pickford was Pepe. Because that's what he does, because he is so good and he is so quick at it. And we just need him to build that tiny nugget of brilliance that he's got and build his game around that and build up his confidence and build and playing him on the left or playing him on the right. And one thing that people aren't going to say it because they don't like Arteta, but that's one thing he's managed to do. He's kept playing him and he's played him into form and then he dropped him and now he's playing him again and he's playing and it's working out. And I don't think I saw, because I said when I was on Craig's show the other day, I said as the game starts he's like this, and as the game goes on and he's not doing well, his head starts going down like that. His head didn't drop at all during that game. I reckon he could have run for another 90 minutes doing that. And play, like Chris has always said, you play to Pepe's strengths and you'll get the best out of him. And that's what we're doing at the moment.
Chris, the absent pirate. It was nice to see him once a month as he came onto your podcast there, Danny.
I almost didn't recognize him.
Yes. Craig, back to Lacazette to you, although for a completely different matter this time around. Again, the pressure continued on the right-hand side, which is just amazing how we came at them. We continued to run at them, and sure enough, you're in the box for so long, you get awarded a penalty. They took down Saka, and who better than Lacazette? I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident were you when that man gets on the penalty box, Craig?
11.
Awesome. Love it.
Unbelievable. No doubt in my mind that ball was going to hit the back of the net. I'm certainly more confident when we get a penalty if Lacazette steps up than I am Aubameyang. That's for sure. Ever since he missed that one at Wembley against Spurs, I've never wanted him to take a penalty again. But Lacazette last night has me confused because I've been calling for him to be sold all season. And now I'm sitting here thinking, he's now our top scorer. And I'm thinking to myself, with Balogun coming through, could spell the end for Eddie. I would expect Eddie to leave in the summer. Lacazette is a kind of player I would want around Balogun. Because I think he could learn a lot. We hear that Lacazette is great with the younger players around the dressing room and around the training ground. But I think last night we actually saw that Lacazette thrives on that pitch around the younger players during a game as well. I thought Lacazette was immense last night and thoroughly deserved his Man of the Match award. I'm also worried, Mike, that we seem to play better without Aubameyang. This is worrying me as well. Sorry to kind of go on a negative spin, but that's just the kind of way my brain works. I'm worried about it. We beat Leicester 3-1 away from home without Aubameyang. We beat Tottenham at home without Aubameyang. We went and beat Sheffield United 3-0 Without, all right, they're bottom of the league. I get that, but you get what I'm trying to say. We went away, no problem. Beat them 3-0. We've gone away to Prague and won 4-0, no problem. Without Aubameyang. So I'm very worried about that. And if I'm Mikel Arteta, I'm hoping that he's kind of thinking the same way as me. People are saying that we should cash in on Lacazette and get rid of him and buy Edouard from Celtic. Now Edouard he's only going to cost us 20 to 25 million pounds. If Arsenal can't afford 20 to 25 million pounds to bring him in on a straight cash, I mean, where are we going here? Deary me, People will say that I'm sticking to mediocrity, that I'm accepting Lacazette, but I'm not accepting mediocrity. What I'm looking to the future. I just look at things a bit different. We've got a 20 or however old he is, Balogun coming through. He needs a mentor. And I think that Lacazette could be that mentor. The same as David Luiz. Well, there you go. Look, there you go. Yeah. Let's talk about the past. Yeah. Let's just carry on talking about. Look,
in the decision about whether to keep somebody, the last 4 years don't count. They actually do not count.
But
the last 4 years of how Apple stock performed before I bought it don't affect me whatsoever. Yeah. So that's a bad example because Apple stock did really well. But I mean,
let's talk about the past. Yeah, let's not talk about that. He's just scored how many goals in how many games. I don't know. We'll just talk about the past. Yeah, just talk about the past all the time. But you can see what other people can see what I'm trying to say here. I would give Lacazette another year. I'd extend his contract for another year. I can't see what we've got to lose, especially with Balogun coming through. Looks like he's going to sign a 5-year deal. We've got Aubameyang tied down to another 3-year deal, so he's here as well. So I don't see no problem with giving Laka a year's extension. I don't think that's gonna. Is it really gonna?
If he'll accept just 1 year, as opposed to trying to secure his future well into his 30s.
But then look, exactly that. He's got to think of himself as well. And if a year's extension is not good enough for him, then I mean, Archie in here is saying we can do better. Okay, Archie, who can we buy? With the situation that we find the world is in, with £120 million to pay back to the government, with pre-COVID losses on the club, who can Arsenal buy at this present time that is better than Lacazette?
Who can potentially become better than Lacazette?
Yeah, exactly.
Because we have one of those in house already. We have two of those in house.
Exactly. Who can we buy? Who is better than Lacazette for £25 million? Because that's how much Edouard is going to cost us. Is Edouard better than Lacazette?
Absolutely not. He is playing in a pony league.
Yeah, exactly. He's playing in the Sunday League in Scotland.
It's not like when it was Pierre Van Hooydonk or Mark Viduka when they've been banging in 40 goals a season, or Henrik Larsson. Well, he's got 16 goals in 27 in No.
Tierney and
I just think differently. That's all.
In that league
Other
people. So I mean,
I just think differently. People say to me, "I'll get rid." I said, "Well, hang on a second now. You've got a young fella coming through now who is a very, very good player. I might add. He's a big, strong lad. He's pacey. He can finish. He plays with his back to goal. He's a traditional striker. I'm very, very excited about him. I just think keeping Laka here for an extra year, if he will accept a year's extension, to bring him in and to mentor him after we hear that the young fellas look up to him, and we've heard so many young players say that he's a good thing to us and how much they admire him. I think we should keep him in for another year. I love Lacazette. I love it.
He's not 30 until the summer. He's 2 years younger than Aubameyang.
I know. I just Danny, I mean, I put 29. Yeah,
he's 29 until he's 30.
He's nearly 30.
I put out a tweet.
He's 29. That's how it works. Sorry, Craig.
I put out a tweet. He's our top scorer. I put out a tweet last night saying who sells their top scorer, and everyone started sending me gifts of Robin van Persie. But that's a completely different situation. Robin van Persie wanted to leave.
Scumbag.
Robin van Persie didn't want to stay at Arsenal. Robin van Persie didn't believe in what Arsenal were trying to do. So that's not a comparison for me. I would keep hold of Lacazette.
At this point, I was also saying, Lacazette and Aubameyang cannot both be on this team next year. And based on the salary, based on the historical feature of it, based on the difference in age, it was, in my mind, going to have to be Lacazette. Love him or love him less. I don't think anyone hates him. Love him or not, the guy's got more market value in the transfer market this summer to be sold than Aubameyang would, because of Aubameyang's combined age and wages. That said, given what we're seeing and the trend, malaria aside, having nothing to do with that, I do everything I can to see if Lacazette will agree to stay around for one additional year, and not 4 additional years at the kind of wages that he's on, and I hate to say it, I've gone completely just upside down on this in the last 3 months. But if I can find someone that's willing to take Aubameyang and his salary demands from here over the summer, I listen very, very carefully to that. And transfer fee to me, given that we're paying him 15 to 16 million pounds a year in salary, and can put that into a midfield player, cover for left back, maybe a new right back, to start. That's the angle that I'm starting to think about. And,
but then you could say, Aubameyang is still elite. He is, and there's no question that Aubameyang is still elite.
He is.
He's had a bad season. He's had personal problems. His mum's been ill, and now the geezer's in hospital. Well, he's at home now, but he's been in hospital with malaria. It kind of explains his poor form over the last couple of weeks. It might tell us why he's been not the Aubameyang that we know. I mean, last season he carried us. He won us the FA Cup. No one can deny that he was the best player in the side. I think he will come good again. I hope he comes good again, because I love the bloke. He's
I've backed
he's a fantastic player.
well.
But I'm with you, Mike.
You started this by noting how ironic it was that some of our best performances of the year were when he wasn't playing.
Which I was just about to say. I'm with you. If a good offer came in, as mad as it sounds, I would seriously consider it.
Yeah, we had a debate on this podcast about, what is the minimum amount that you would accept for him? Like if an offer came in and got him off the payroll, off of the wage bill, and there was some money involved in it. What's too little amount of money? 8, 15, 25. Our new friend JJ from Arizona, big time Gooner fan, said 85 was his limit. And my head almost exploded. I mean, if you get even half of that, I would do. But what's your number, Craig? Because I hate to say it, mine's 15 because of the impact of the wage bill. It would have been 0 last summer.
Would it be? So you think Lacazette currently you think Lacazette would get more money than Aubameyang? Sorry for cutting across you there.
No, at the moment, I think Lacazette suits what we're seeing on the pitch better than Aubameyang at the moment.
I would agree. I think with the very, very little tactical nous that I have in comparison to a lot of you, there you go, Mikey. Comparison to a lot of you, I do believe that last year, leading up to the FA Cup, we played more to Aubameyang's strength in the sense that we absorbed pressure and we countered attack, left, right, and center right. Lacazette is the type of player. I always say it like this: Aubameyang needs the team to play for him in order to perform. Lacazette performs best performing for the team. So with the talent that we have, either Smith Rowe, Odegaard, Saka, Pepe on the flanks, the 3 behind the striker, Lacazette is an integral part in the sense that he gets them all involved. And now we actually have something that we haven't had in years, and that's goals in the midfield coming from our wingers and everything. So fundamentally, I think the team just evolved from being more of a counterattack team to a possession-based team. And because of that, I see more value. Similar to you, Craig, we've had some of our best performances without him. Not saying that there's a difference between saying Aubameyang is not a great striker and our system evolved in which Lacazette seems to perform better. So it's like I would take Giroud in this setup currently because of the style of player he is, in the sense of linking the play, getting everybody else involved. So I think it's just horses for courses. I guess it's the say, right? It's just currently Lacazette seems to be a better mentor and get to involve the players behind him more. So I think because of that, that's a huge part of why Saka, Rowe, et cetera, everybody that's there is playing better. So I agree with you on that one, Craig. And I think a lot of it just hinders on what happens, ironically, May 26th, which is, somebody pointed out also, Anfield 89 was also May 26th, which is kind of crazy to think about it. It could very be if we do fail to qualify for Champions League, we end up renewing more contracts than people would like, and we see less faces. It could be as simple as that, to be completely honest, unless we have one hell of a turnaround when it comes to selling players. And fortunately for us this season, we do have a lot of available assets. But moving on from that, Mikey, the third goal, our star boy, what our pride and joy, Saka, what a likable, lovable human being he is.
We
with the
nurtured him
brilliant
from a fetus.
From a fetus, yes. Go ahead, talk
Love
about
that
your
goal.
baby boy Saka and that beautiful goal of his.
I mean, when you take a shot from 15, 20 meters, yards, whatever you want to call it, and the goalie doesn't even move, like his feet were anchored to the pitch. It was like when he saw that it was going to his left rather than the right from the goalie's perspective, when it was going near post rather than far post, he basically just said, "Shit, I fucked it. I'm not even going to bother." It was like a bluff in poker. You just have to throw your hands up and say, you know what, that was the smart shot. The guy's got the mind of a 27 or 28-year-old in prime footballer, and is he 20 yet? He's 19. I mean, it's ridiculous, and I love the guy, and his snapback ability. How often have we seen Alex Iwobi? This was the case. We've seen it with others, maybe even Theo Walcott was the case. Where you start off and you're the biggest new thing, you're a revelation, you play strong, and then you just kind of get jaded, and your performance drops, and it stays low because your confidence drops along with that. And if you're not made of the right things, that's going to lead to something that probably ends up with you getting dropped from the team for a while, at least, to kind of, get your confidence back, build it up. Hopefully you get back in the squad, you score a goal. Now your confidence is built again because you don't have 5 years of professional experience to lean back on and draw from. You could easily have worried about that with Bukayo Saka over the last couple of months, with some of the performances that looked a little leggy, a little tired, a little jaded, getting kicked around the pitch as he has been, over the past couple of months, because teams have figured out that that's what they have to do. But then he comes back with a performance like yesterday, and I have no doubt that there's more to come because he seems to have rejuvenated himself. And I just could not love him. And if it were just him and the rest of the team were flailing, and it was like we're relying on a 19-year-old to pick up our entire squad, I'd be worried, because that's a lot of pressure. But him and his mates from Halen are such an inspiration. And, you got 18, 19, and 20-year-olds and a 23 or 24-year-old in Tierney, just putting the attitudes and the practice. Arteta made comments about watching them in practice, just putting them to shame, but in a way that draws them into it because they want to be part of it. Lacazette being the greatest example of that. And I love it. I mean, the goal was beautiful, but the player is even more beautiful. And I told him that directly.
Oh, obviously. No.
I'm essentially hitting on him right now.
He's 19, by the way. I double checked for you. Until September, we can confirm that he's 19.
He's
turns
19.
20.
Yeah. Okay,
He's 19. Yes. So
I'm glad that's how it works, because if he's 20, then he's too old for this club.
Yes, that's if you're 27, you're past it nowadays. Is how I see a lot of people
in Arsenal world. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, 20. Why would we want a 27-year-old? He's past his prime, sir. So,
that's right.
Going back, Danny, to our lovely man Lacazette again, dude, scored a brace. What a great night to be Lacazette, mind you, to make the impactful statement he did at the beginning of the game. Had the penalty shout. He well led the team as the captain of the night. Receives the ball in the box, does a little 1-2. He was able to get under pressure and let the shot go. One hell of a way to crown the night, yeah, Danny?
It was really good. On Thursday, I was on Craig's 4 Men and a Mic, and we were talking on there, and the announcement came out of the lineup, and I said, you watch Laka. Laka has 2 types of games that he can play. He can play the back-to-goal Giroud kind of one, and if he's got someone decent playing behind him, an Odegaard or a Smith Rowe or even a Saka, definitely not a Willian, then that lets him go and play his game because he doesn't have to run the length of the pitch to get the ball. But if he's got a midfield 2 of Partey and Xhaka, he has to come and get the ball off them. So this time he had Ceballos, who gets the ball from Partey, and then Ceballos gives the ball to whoever is playing in the 10 behind him, or the fake 10 or the false 10 or the half 9 or whatever you're bloody calling it now. And I said, if he does that, that means Laka's going to only have to concentrate on scoring goals. And that's exactly what he did. Admittedly, the opposition weren't that good. They had a fantastic home record. I think Craig had a stat about they hadn't lost at home in Europe in a couple of years or something like that. So a lot of people, well, we saw with your pod, Mike, the predictions that you did. So many people were going, no, we're going to lose this. Andy just went, we're going to lose. I mean, it's nice of him to make an appearance for that. That was quick. That appearance was quicker than most
3
of your
seconds of
videos.
joy.
Yeah, terrible. But it all depends on the formation. And I remember back in the days, you won't remember this, Mike, because you were probably little Mike. You were probably sperm back then. But honestly, we used to play worse when Henri was playing every game sometimes, because the whole thing would get the ball to Henri, and Henri would have 3 blokes around him. And if you could stop him, like the Old Trafford game 50, if you could stop him, we really struggled to do anything. And other times when you had Perez and Ljungberg and Bergkamp and Parlour and all these other goal scorers in the team, you didn't know where it was coming from. And that's what we're doing at Arsenal at the moment. You've got goals coming from the left, the right, the middle, and the fake 9. We've got them coming from everywhere. And as long as you've got 2 decent ones in the midfield, and we played that's what else we said on your show, Craig, we had a very defensive back 4. He went out there to go, no one's getting past us, and it worked. And he needs to work, move with this, stay with this, and don't do what you usually do, Arteta, is go and fuck around with it. Go, right now we've got William playing up front, and we're going to move Chambers into defensive midfield. Don't. You found the formula. Back-to-back game clean sheets, 7 goals in 2 games. You've got it. Go and stick with it. That's what we need to do.
If you would have told me the formula involved Chambers and our back 4 at the beginning of the season,
who knew?
I would have called you absolutely insane. I just want to throw that out there. I did not see that coming at all. So.
The loans at Middlesbrough and Fulham, they saw it. He was magnificent for them.
I saw it coming, but I didn't see it coming because I didn't think Arteta saw it. But I mean, we've always said, Andy and I have both said, actually, I mean, I didn't see him being this impactful, but we've basically said that since he came back from his major injury, he's been fantastic. He's never going to be considered a special fullback, and he's playing fullback again where we bought him rather than the center back that we kind of moved him to and bought him to move to. But he's everything you would want in a squad player, and a little bit more than that, to where you probably still need to sell Bellerin and bring in someone who can bring a different element to that position than Chambers can. But anyone that wants to sell Chambers there's a lot of guys that can be sold for value this summer. As much as I love Maitland-Niles, if it's between Maitland-Niles and Chambers right now to try to get 20 to 25 million for, I'm selling Mainsley. Because Chambers is just more solid at this point, and Mainsley seems to want to go to where he can play where he wants to play.
And to spin the pun here, I'm going to say Chambers seems to trust the process a little more with Mainsley when it comes to.
Well, if I was Mainsley, I wouldn't trust a process that resigns or that refuses to sell me and then never plays me either. I mean, you can hardly blame the guy. Greg,
fair
sorry.
Point.
That's okay. I think I was kind of toying with the idea to say this, but I think we've been good as well because Xhaka's not been in the middle of midfield. I think Xhaka at left back has kind of freed Thomas Partey. And Ceballos coming in there as well has had more freedom to go forward, where Xhaka wouldn't go forward. So I think we've been better in midfield, and that's what's given us a bit more openness in there. I've liked Xhaka this year. I like what he's brought to us, and I really, really impressed with him. What he said in his interview last night about, he'll play anywhere for us. That's the kind of mentality I want. But I can't see it being coincidental that Granit Xhaka's played left back for 2 games and Thomas Partey's played 2 Stormers.
Well, look, I mean, the opponent could possibly have something.
Well, yeah. But
let's see it
for the last 2 games. Thomas Partey's been brilliant. Do you know? And before that, he's been partnered with he's been partnered with Xhaka, and he's not been great. So I don't know. I mean, there's people saying there we miss Xhaka when he doesn't play. Well, I don't know. I'm not too sure, but it's just something I've noticed. That all. I'm not taking away anything from Granit Xhaka because he has done an absolutely brilliant job at left back. What a man to just slip in there and do what he's done. He's been absolutely brilliant. But it's just something I've noticed, and I just thought something I'd bring up. That's all.
We have seen it a bit already this season when we were attacking and Xhaka would drop back into the back 3 when back 3 or 4, whichever it was, when one of the wing backs is attacking, he will go and take up that position. So we have kind of seen him do it before, but I'm quite amazed at how well it's worked. I mean, I like Xhaka. Some of our fans, a lot of Arsenal fans are arseholes, and they need to be told to fuck off.
Yeah.
So
well, other than Kieran Tierney. Sorry, Mike. Other than Kieran Tierney, that thing that happened at Crystal Palace when he walked off the pitch and he did this and he did that is in the past, and Arsenal fans should just bloody forget about it.
Yeah.
And all these people that I see on Twitter, oh, but he said this and he said that. He told me to fuck off. No, he didn't tell you to fuck off because you were sitting on your sofa watching it. So you weren't even there. So how did he tell you to fuck off? Like,
I don't know. I disagree with you about that, but
I know Mike feels very strongly about this.
Oh, stop it! For God's sake, things happen in the heat of a moment.
Craig, you mentioned earlier about you walking down the street in your Arsenal shirt and telling someone to fuck off. I was talking about being racist. Well, okay, there is a difference.
He took the shirt off and then told the fans to fuck off. At least he did it that way.
Get over it. It's happened. It's done.
Yeah.
It's in the past. He's still here. He still plays for Arsenal. He still wears our shirt.
That is and I want him to do well. That's not the only transgression that makes me not like the guy. But like I said yesterday, I don't have to like the guy. I don't have to enjoy how he treats people.
He plays for Arsenal.
Yeah, it's like the 3 of you guys. I mean, I have you on the podcast regardless of what I think about you personally. So.
Yeah.
So I'm in Craig's camp here, where I moved on from that whole shindig myself, to be completely honest. My issues right now with him are more as a footballer, in the sense that if he is going to continue playing in our midfield, I'd rather have an upgrade there. And I do value what he's done this season. I'm not going to neglect that. I have 0 problems whatsoever. I have no ego to say I was wrong. So he's played well, proved me wrong. Pepe is putting on some great performances. Look, I've spoke badly about Pep in the past before. Again, he's the last couple of games that he's played, he's really shut me up, and I couldn't be happier. So I have 0 ego, and the last thing I want to do is be right about a player not working out.
Yeah,
I'd rather be wrong all day long. And I really do hope that if the trend continues to be like this, more and more people could be like, all right, maybe I'll give this manager a shot, going into maybe change their perspective a little bit going into next season. So here's hoping. But Craig, I'm going to stick with you. Something that we alluded to little. We're just going to get into the substitutions right now as the game went by, progressed. We saw some late substitutions, and we saw Martinelli again for maybe the 4th or 5th game in a row now. And we can't help but notice that every time we see Martinelli, we could kind of sit back and say, maybe as an Arsenal fans, we say, "Oh, good, that means we're not going to see Willian today." So it's sad but true, right? I mean, he came in with some expectations, and we could go over that till we're bored and we're blue in the face. I think it's safe to say we agree that nobody saw the decline that Willian had this season, but focusing more on Martinelli. Is this just a really good sign, not only leading into the end of the season, but a good sign to maybe future of what we're going to see in the next following season? Arteta seems to have a way of bleeding in the players very slowly, maybe too slow for some fans. But Martinelli, he looks lively every time. What a gem we have in our hand. Yes, Greg?
Oh, look. Just before Zamir said there that Mike left me speechless. No, he didn't leave me speechless. I was just about to reply to him, but I stopped myself. So don't get that mixed up.
It's called friendship preservation, and it's something that when you do a podcast, I mean, I'm not really good at this, but you have to think about what you say before it comes out of your mouth sometimes. So, Greg's just renewed our friendship for another year, so we're good.
I think that Mikel Arteta has managed Martinelli perfectly. He had an injury; he was out for a very long time, and he didn't rush him back in. He had an injury. He came back, and then he got that knock, didn't he, while he was getting warmed up? So he took him off and he wrapped him up in cotton wool because, look, there's no way Mikel Arteta doesn't know how good he is, right? He watches him every day on the training pitch. He gets to work with him every day on the training pitch. We've all seen the training videos of him pinging them in from 25 yards. We've all seen the training videos of him doing overhead kicks and hitting the top corners. We've all seen the training videos of him putting it through goalkeepers. Look, Martinelli is going to be a generational talent. He is going to be a generational talent. I'm not going to compare him to anyone. That would be foolish. But he is going to be a generational talent. We are so lucky to have this kid. And there is no way on this earth that Mikel Arteta doesn't know how good he is. I've heard people say that Mikel Arteta doesn't rate him. I've heard people say that Mikel Arteta doesn't want him in the team. He keeps leaving him out because he doesn't think he's good enough. I mean, come on. You can not like Mikel Arteta, but don't insult his football. Don't insult his football intelligence, right? Do you know what I mean? The way I look at it is, I can see what Mikel Arteta is doing. He is starting to. You can see last night what he is starting to do. The mix between not youth, but younger talent and experience is starting to come through. Like Danny said, he's found the formation. That was the formula. Now he has to bring in the players to add into that formula.
And it's not 8 new players either.
It's not. It really isn't. It really isn't. What I would like to see, going off your question, sorry, Mike, what I would like to see against Fulham, right? We shouldn't disrespect Fulham, okay, at the weekend. They're fighting for survival. They're coming to the Emirates for 3 points. But we have enough players in that squad to be able to beat Fulham, right? I'm confident we beat Fulham. But what he must do is, if he's going to change it, fine. But keep the formation and put round pegs in round holes. Keep it as it is, but keep the right players in the right positions in the squad. Because then he creates... Then what he does is then he creates competition for places And that is only a good thing to have within a football club. Arsenal have been a football club for too long where we've had players in positions who have had no competition and know that they're playing and they can have an absolute 2 out of 10 and get played next week. No questions asked. We'll just get that out of the way. Going back to Martinelli, unbelievable talent. The same as Saka, the English Pele. The same as Smith Rowe, the Croydon De Bruyne.
Is Martinelli
Pepe.
the Brazilian Pele?
He would be.
Is he the Brazilian Neymar?
You've got Pepe, right? I call him the Ivorian Eusebio. You've got Martinelli, could be the Brazilian
Ronaldo.
Yeah.
He could be the Brazilian CR7.
No, not him. The real Ronaldo. The real Ronaldo.
Yeah, but there's
Don't
already a
mind that.
Brazilian
Don't
Ronaldo.
mind
There's
that.
already a Brazilian.
Don't mind the fake Ronaldo, the proper Ronaldo, the one with the V in his head.
That's my goat right there. Brazilian
What a player! What a player!
Wow.
We are right. If all Arsenal fans just took a step back for 10 minutes tonight after this podcast and go through the team, go through the squad, get it up on the internet. Have a look at it. We are not far away from being a challenging top 4 team. With a few little tweaks, we are not far away. Yes, we have had a horrendous season. I agree with you all. It's been bloody horrible. Don't think that I think it's been anything but. Winning the Europa League will be great. It will get us back into the Champions League. Do I want to see us in the Champions League? At the moment, I'm not too sure. But we are not that far away from being a good side again, honestly. Just give our... Look, I'm not preaching to all... I'm not going against anyone else's opinion here. My opinion is that Mikel Arteta is the man to take us forward. And I can see what Mikel Arteta is trying to do. He's trying to find, like Danny says, that formula. It looks like that he might have found a formula. Now, granted, people are saying it's only Sheffield United, it's only Slavia Prague. I'll take that on board as well. But at the moment, you can only beat who's in front of you. And we've beaten who's in front of us quite easily.
It's only Leicester. It's only Spurs. I mean, look.
Yeah.
Yes, we shit the bed against some teams we shouldn't be.
We've beaten Manchester United away from home. We've beaten Leicester away from home. So look, if you sack Arteta, if you want Arteta out, that's fine. I respect your opinion. I really do. You want what's best for the club, but my opinion is Arteta is best for the club because I can see what's going on. Not only on the pitch, but what's going on behind the scenes as well. What I can see what the youngsters that are coming through. This trust the process thing, I think it's a load of rubbish. Trust the process. Look, process.
It's another one of these catchy things that ends up becoming. It becomes more of a call towards people that want to rubbish that than people.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's a
thing
of
just alienated people more.
It's a thing of you trust the process. What's the process? You know, we all sat on the same old Arsenal podcast, right? We all sat when he was brought in. Sorry, am I not supposed to say that or something? You having a bet on him?
No, that wasn't having a go. That's a celebratory bell.
We all sat there and said, he gets a free hit. He gets a season. It's a free hit. He gets a season. And then halfway through the season, he's get a sack. Get him out. And I'm like, what? We all sat here and agreed that he gets a free pass. That he's got to have time.
Oh, but I didn't know we were going to be 15th in December.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that wasn't part of the
short-sighted. That
weren't part of the deal. That wasn't part of the deal. My argument to it would be like, Oh, you don't know what's going to happen next year, Craig. Tell that to an Aston Villa fan. They nearly got relegated last year and they're fucking above us, aren't they?
Sheffield United, almost Europe, now going down.
Yeah, now they're going down. Look, I could come on here this time next year and be eating humble pie. I was wrong. Arteta's no good. We're 10th again. He's got to go. But until that happens, I will back him. I've always said that I'll give him this. I'm rambling on a bit now. Really, really sorry. I've always said that I'll back him, but the board have got to back him in the summer. They've got to give him what he wants. But on match day 1 of next season, he is under pressure by me on day 1 to get it right. Right, you've had your season, you've seen all your players that you've got your tactics, you've got your formation, you've got your players, let's go. November, December, if we're 7th, 8th, 9th, out. Next.
Yeah.
And we're going to actually start next season with a preseason, which is pretty massive for us because it's something Arteta hasn't had. And just touching on a point that you mentioned, I kind of look at it this way as fans will look at us and say, don't celebrate. It's Sheffield. Don't celebrate. It's Slavia. So we're indicating that we're the superior team to a smaller team. Hence why I do not understand why when we lose against City and Liverpool, who we could agree are superior teams than us, I don't understand how that happens when like the overreaction when we lose to City or Liverpool, because I just look at it simply like they're the better team. Clearly the better team. They beat the Lee with hair. Lee with hair just always gets to me. I just don't understand.
It's like training to be in combat. You have to be able to just rise above the distractions that I throw in your way.
And I'm horrible at it. But Mikey, before I ask one of my final questions, you wanted to give the chat a shout out, Mikey.
I did. The chat has been immense tonight. I mean, the chat's always fun to talk to, but something about the topics tonight, the people in the chat, just been an absolute joy watching the discussion. And I've gotten involved in the conversation so much that I've kind of lost track a little bit of putting the comments up. But Aston, Michael, Zamir, Julian, Archie's in the chat, Mark Beckredin, Matthew Hudson, Deviant Developer, IDW Podcast, Don Juan, good to see you again. Dean Christian, if you're Dean from Dallas, thanks for joining us and for your participation. I don't know your last name, but I think that's you. Zamir, Cyanvesh, Joel, O'Clarify, who else we got in here? Barry Byrne, Peter Renner, and I'm scrolling through super fast now. Mass Gunner. Man, just a great chat tonight, and I wanted to give it. I like to try to recognize the people who are in the chat, but tonight, Sebi, of course, obsessed with Zidane, and it is Dean from Dallas, who you can see on our prediction rolls, which I'll talk about towards the end of the podcast because that's been a lot of fun putting together. Bulgarian Gooner, of course, is up at all hours of nights watching us, and I think if I've left anyone out, remind me. Aston, fucking hilarious. But
what a name that is, though. By the way, Aston Mac. What a name.
Aston Mac is he lives in a villa now. Aston is Aston's a fantastic.
Not his real name, but
that
now
is
it's his real name. That's what we're going with.
Craig, because you haven't seen this. This is kept in our regular lineup of videos. You probably haven't seen this yet, and I think you'll enjoy it. This is from our maybe like our first or second open mic show, but let me bring it up. Speaking of Aston Mac, joining us today is the one and only Kevin Campbell, fresh off of. This is also a gift for you, Aston, because I think Aston's a fan. One and only Kevin Campbell, fresh off of.
But can I say something? When I first interviewed, when I first done a podcast with Kevin Campbell, unfortunately, the same old Arsenal podcast was only audio at the time. But I done the exact same face, even though no one could see me. I done the exact same face when I heard his voice. When he went, "All right, Craig," I went,
Yeah, we had him on once when we were audio only, and then I met him. And when I met him, when Lee like rolled up to the 12 pins with Kev on the night before my birthday, when I was in London watching us save a Troy Deeney penalty with Petr Cech saving it.
oh,
I mean, great. It was one of the greatest nights of my Arsenal.
That's the night
life.
you faced. That's the night you FaceTimed me, wasn't it? From the pub.
Did I FaceTime
Well,
you?
You didn't, but
Well,
Lee
no,
Judges
Lee
did, and
FaceTimed
you all had
you,
to go. Yeah.
Lee FaceTimed you. I FaceTimed Andy, and we had to go at you for not being there. But it was, but yeah, I mean, he does that, and everyone's now used to seeing him in a podcast setting, but that was back at the beginning. It was super surprising, and anyway, just
Kevin Campbell is a legend. He's the way he opens up his arms to us fans and podcasters, if you like. The way he just says, "Yeah, I'll come on, no problem," is amazing, and we're forever thankful to him. He really is. For anyone that's ever met him, he's just one of the boys. He's just one of the boys who lived the dream. All our dream was to play for the Arsenal. He's just one of the boys who lived the dream, and it's just simple as that. I love the bloke. Always been there for me whenever I've needed him. Always come on the podcast whenever I've asked him. Bloke's a legend. That's all I've got to say. And I'll just finish on. Great to see him getting his go on Sky Sports last Monday night. Long time coming. We need him on. We need him on them.
Friday he'll be doing Arsenal Everton on Sky, which should be an interesting one.
Yeah.
But when I first met him, I said, "Kev, you do know, I haven't forgotten that people just think it's Ian Wright. You and Ian Wright for those 2 or 3 seasons together, between you banged in 60 goals a season. You, bro, smashed all the records for the under 18s and the under 21s. I'm just going through. I said to Sophie that I want to get Kevin on, and I just want to go through his career. I'm going through all the old Arsenal yearbooks when he made his debut, scored his first goal for all the different levels.
When you see the video of him scoring his first goal against Forest at Highbury, look to the upper right-hand side. I'm one of those blurs that are in there.
I said I haven't forgotten. You're brilliant.
And he comes into the chat, or he comes onto the podcast like we saw with Aston. He comes into the chat, always has a nice thing to say. I know
such a nice bloke. Really is such a nice bloke.
He loves his football.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
This has been the Kevin Campbell portion of the show, which is normally it's normally found 40 minutes into the show. This time it's an hour and 22 minutes into the show, but we're just kind of all pretty happy with our Goonerdom at the moment. So,
all right. So
what else we got, Mikey?
I got one more question to finalize the on the game in-game events, and that was Danny, the return of not only Nketiah, who we saw in the league as well, but what's the nickname, Mike? Magic Mike, excuse me. Balogun de Oro.
Oh, yeah, Balogun de Oro.
Now, a lot is said about Arteta's man management and how he deals with, and we all understand that he's very new to the job. But you couldn't help but believe that. I remember there was a interview given by Arteta, and he said the club wants him to stay, he wants to stay, the agent does not. And ever since that statement, we did not see Nketiah or Balogun. And so they just went ghost. They disappeared completely. And surprise, surprise, news breaks that Balogun is very, very close, or if not already happened, and they just haven't announced it. He's going to sign for his contract extension. So my question to you is, with the news breaking and now immediately we see them back into the fold playing minutes, how do you feel about how Arteta managed the whole situation? Because there's kind of two schools of thought here, Danny. Part of the fan base either said, play him and show him that he's going to play so that he signs. And the other half would say, sign the contract, show your commitment, and then you get to play. So overall, what's your opinion on how Arteta, and I guess Edu as well, he's in charge of it, managed this whole contract situation?
Reminds me a little bit of an old school manager. You do as you're told or you're not playing. Ferguson-esque, Wenger-esque. None of that. Well, I know I'm the manager, but you're the star, and I'm going to pander to what you need, which is the problem that Emery had at times, I think. And the most important thing about this is, as soon as the news came out that he's agreed to sign, he's back on the bench. He's back involved in the first team squad, and that has shown the kind of trustworthy person that Arteta is. He's a man of his word, and he's doing what's best for the club. If you're not staying, you're not playing. I'm not wasting minutes on you if you're not going to commit yourself to the club. You've committed to the club. You're back in the fold. Let's move on. Which
That's
is
a message
exactly
to
what
10 other people.
Yep.
All the others.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Nelson was on the bench as well. And I think they've got the same agent as Nelson and Ketia. Ballon d'Or gone. Oh, I've messed that up already.
Ballon d'Or.
Ballon d'Or. No, I think it. You know what? Arteta has had some massive gambles this season, and they paid off brilliantly for him. So
you know whose name we haven't heard? You know whose name we have not heard in probably 2 months, and I just realized this right now.
The O word.
Because we're talking. No, well, it's kind of.
We don't say that.
It's the guy named after the car. We have not heard this because Kia Jarabchin has not been a topic of conversation for a couple of months, and let's not make him one. But
He's too busy spending that Pepe money on whores and drugs, allegedly.
Yeah. It's the Pepe money that Raul and him split.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
because Lille only got 15 million for him. I think we got a bug.
If you would, in a year from now, if you look back and say, we bought 2 players from outside clubs, Martinelli and Pepe, and we only spent 79 million pounds on them. I mean, you're going to be thrilled about that, right?
You see the breakdown.
If you look at on evens, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, you, Craig, you have any strong opinions on that? How Arteta managed that situation?
I think he's done. I totally agree with Dan. If Arteta says, "Oh, okay, then yeah, look, we'll give you 80 grand a year," and Balogun says, "Oh, thanks," and then he turns out to be the way Arteta's handled it has been brilliant. This is Arsenal. You don't get to tell Arsenal whether you sign a contract or not, or how much you're getting paid, or how many minutes you play, or no Arsenal player has ever, told the club how it goes. Some of them have tried to do it, and look what happened. Laters. This is Arsenal Football Club, mate. I hope that his hype, or the way he's hyped himself, will pay off, because he has hyped himself up. But I kind of admire that. I kind of admire that in a player, and he's told, he said that he wants this much money, but obviously Arteta said, no, hang on a minute, son. That's not how it works. This is how much we're going to give you. You get out there on the pitch and score me some goals, and then we'll come back after a couple of years and we'll talk again. That's how it works. I'm the manager. You're the member of staff. We'll have a word in a couple of years. Now, it's obviously not that easy, but whatever he said to Balogun has obviously worked. Whatever the plan is that Arteta has, he's obviously explained this to Balogun, and it's obviously worked. I think what's helped Balogun make his decision is seeing the likes of Martinelli, Saka, Smith Rowe, Saliba coming back. He has seen the progress of them players, and hopes one day that he can be, one of those players. And you hit the nail, or you hit the nail on the head, or was it Dan hit the nail on the head there? That the announcement was made. Well, it hasn't been made officially, but it's been leaked, and there he is. Bang! He's on the bench. So I'm very excited about him. Do you know? Like, I'm not gonna claim to know everything about him, but I did used to watch a lot of the under-23 games that were streamed on the Arsenal website. I used to watch a lot of the under-18 games that were streamed on the website. He is a traditional striker, and one that we haven't had for a long, long time. The thing I like about him the best is the way he plays with his back to goal. I love the way he plays with his back to goal. He brings the midfielders into play, spins off that defender, We saw it. I mean, all right, he was playing against Dundalk, which would be, League Two standard, but
would you have gone to that game if you could have?
Oh, absolutely would have done. Absolutely would have done. But
he had little cameos in the Europa League, but he showed all of that in those 15 or 20 minutes.
Exactly, mate. He's got you can see that he's got a footballing brain. And he knows that. I mean, like Suburban Gooner Chris was talking to us yesterday. He was, pointing to where he wants the ball. He knows the runs to make. He knows when to make those runs. He knows when to point. He knows when to set off. So I'm very, very excited about Balogun. I just hope that he delivers. People will be negative about it. Oh, he's only another Nicholas Anelka. Is he? Great. Because if he turns out to be another Nicholas Anelka, we'll sell him next year for 50 million. Super.
Yeah. Then all of a sudden I'll find, I'll put all my energy behind Moeller. Great. And
show me the money.
Yeah. So you guys got time to stick around for a couple more minutes for user
questions?
Of course.
Yeah.
I know we've run long, but
I'm going to very specific Magic Mike here.
I'm kettle till I die right now. I've switched. I have no one to thank other than the Gooner family and the world in general for their absolute disdain. And I mean, I never thought much of it. And as we saw in our podcast, last week, JJ, our guest, also American, was like, microwave, obviously, for heating up water quickly. But look, when I thought kettle, I'm thinking of the little teapot with the fucking the little hooky thing there where the steam comes out and it, and I'm like, you have to be dainty to use one of those.
Kettle. The little thing with a hooky thing when the steam comes out. Kettle.
Well, okay. That's like, but this is, if I know that there was a kettle like this, if I knew that this was also a kettle, I would have, and that I could have put it right on the desk next to me. The kettle brand, I've just realized this kettle brand could be borderline racist. It's White Tiger.
Wow. Morphy Richards, that's where you go.
I find that all tigers are acceptable to me. But yeah, this one is a White
Isn't that
Tiger
your porn
brand.
name, though?
No, not God. I just did what Craig did earlier. I had something that went from here and it went to here. It was on its way out here, and then it just stopped. I put it back on my big ass cheeks. That's why my cheeks are so fat, because so much stuff I want to say ends up just getting stuck.
Was that your porn name? Big ass cheeks.
No, that was just the description under the video.
That was a genre.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was trying to say.
Oh, anyone else got a big butts playing in your mind?
Sir Mike a lot. By the way, if I'm ever invited onto your 4 Men and a Mike podcast, will you call it 3 Men and Mike? Or will?
Yeah.
I mean, special.
But you won't never be invited on it, so don't have to worry about it.
I pretty much knew that was coming. Peter Renner asks, do you think we should play Arteta at left back against Fulham? I'm not sure you meant to say that. I'm pretty sure you meant Xhaka at Fulham, especially if they have a pacey winger like Ademola Lookman. Craig, would you play either Arteta or Xhaka at left back against Fulham?
Arteta would be interesting.
He looks young enough. He's still got it.
Going back to what I said earlier on, if he wants to keep playing that formation, then he should keep Xhaka there. Why not? He's done the job, and let's see if he can do a job against a pacey winger like Lookman. But
we've seen him do that before once, and that's against Zaha from Crystal Palace, and he was destroyed. Yeah,
he was destroyed. But then we will have to see, can Saka, provide a bit of cover? Can Saka bring that into his game? We all know how good he is going forward. Or Pepe, whoever it will be on that left wing, it'll probably be Pepe, won't it? Because I mean, Saka's kind of making that right wing his own. If Pepe plays on the left wing, it's something I'd like to see better from Pepe. Is his defensive work, which is getting better as he's getting better. His defensive work is getting better. Do I trust Pepe though? That's the thing. At the moment, no, I don't. So there is a big decision to make about the formation at the weekend. I think he'll change it. I think he'll go back to 4 at the back. against Fulham. He'll probably bring back Cedric into that left back role, I would imagine, and go with Chambers on the right with the two central defenders, and bring Xhaka back into the midfield with Thomas Partey. That's what I think he'll do. So I don't think Granit Xhaka at left back will be a problem, because I don't think Xhaka will play left back. I think he'll come back into the middle, and he'll bring Cedric back into left back. That's what I think will happen.
I would hope so, because the pacey winger thing. I mean, I was at that Crystal Palace game. That it was during Emery's 22 game winning streak, and we did or undefeated, non-loss streak, undefeated streak, and we did draw Crystal Palace that day, which was by far better than the other games I'd seen us play at Selhurst Park. But the reason we drew was a penalty given up just to and Zaha dove, but like he was toying with Xhaka in that situation, and I don't want to see that again. Danny, this is a great question for you, because you come across as the type of person that probably still sleeps with stuffed animals. Who is more adorable, Martinelli or Saka?
That's a tough one, really. Neither.
Neither.
If you were looking for cuddly ones, you'd go someone like Louise because of his hair, or Lacazette because he's a good-looking chap with a nice beard. But both of those two,
Saka, innit? Saka's got those cheeks, so he can just go, oh, Saka, Saka.
See, you got that wasn't the answer I expected at all, Danny. You're actually thinking in terms of
really
getting in bed and cuddling. Yeah, you're thinking of like getting into bed and cuddling with them. I'm thinking
bed,
like
no nonsense in bed. Just a general. There's nothing wrong with a nice hug from a good-looking bloke with nice aftershave on. Makes you feel insecure.
Is he Miyake?
I mean, that Mikey, what do you think between Gabby and Saka? It's so tough, because
it's tough. Saka all day.
The cheeks.
I gotta go with Saka. He's got this smile, though. I mean, although so does Saka, but. Yeah, I think so.
You are aware we're taking some creepy territory, right? If we keep on going with this conversation.
That's true.
Saka does look ticklish, though. He doesn't look like he can hold a good tickle.
Mark in the chat just said, Craig thinking about spooning Saka. Let me tell you, Mark, if I caught Saka, if I caught Bakayoko Saka and Mrs. in my bed, with my wife, I would light the cigarette for him when he was finished.
Better than spooning bony old judges. He's all bones and
he's got veins coming out of his head. Yeah, The one thing about Gabby that I would be worried about cuddling is that if I act. Oh, and it doesn't say about cuddling. It says who's adorable. We made it about cuddling.
You guys are all into cuddling.
I would be worried that when I cuddle Gabby, I accidentally hurt him and he starts crying and rolling around on the ground. And so I think
where you're going to bury the body. Yeah.
Okay, now it's getting strange. Can we move on?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Saka. All right.
I got one for perfect, Mike. There you go.
Oh, we're so in tune together.
Who's taking that question, by the way? I lost track.
I think we're going back to Craig for this one.
We can
go around the horn because it's a yes or no question. It doesn't need 2 minutes of explanation.
Would you start Balogun on Sunday? No.
That'll teach him.
I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with yes on this. To be completely honest, I know the league is still a possibility mathematically, but why not?
Win?
I see it. No, to win it. Yeah, unfortunately, that happened a few weeks ago. We cannot win anymore. But why not? In the sense that Lacazette just played one hell of a game. He's been playing a lot of minutes. Aubameyang has malaria right now, so he won't be playing anytime soon. So
we have trouble.
Those are the only two natural strikers that we have currently, unless we either play Gabi as a striker, or Saka will play his seventh position for us and be our striker. So I guess because of that, maybe Balogun and Nketiah might see a few more minutes, at least for the Fulham game. That might just to keep Lacazette fresh going into that.
I would be of the understanding I would want to try and keep Lacazette's form going. I would put him in for 60 minutes. See if he can get a couple in the first half. Look, I'm underestimating Fulham there big time. Sorry, I shouldn't have done that. But I would try and keep his momentum going, his goal scoring record going. After 60 minutes, if we're winning a game, bring him on. No problem.
I've identified the game that we start Balogun in, and it's not Sunday. It's 1st of May against Newcastle, because that's the game. That's the game in between the two Europa League semifinal games. So keep Lacazette fresh. Maybe Lacazette comes in and plays the last 10 or 15, and Balogun starts, as opposed to what I'd rather see between now and then, which is the opposite of that. Danny, what do you think about Balogun on Sunday?
We got well, it's not Martinelli. If you're going to drop Lacazette, it's Martinelli. Martinelli has earned his chance, and Balogun comes after that. But you look at I was just looking at the fixtures. We're playing Fulham on Sunday, and then we're playing Everton next Friday. And then I thought, oh, that's good. They've moved the game because we're playing Villarreal, so we've got nearly a week off before Villarreal, and then we're playing Newcastle on the 1st of May, and then so that's only 2 days after away at Villarreal. So away at Villarreal.
No, they're going to move that game. They'll move that game to the Sunday. They've got to. Now that we're in the semifinals, they'll move that game to Sunday.
Yeah. So what you're saying? The Villarreal. Oh, right. So the 1st of May is going to be a Saturday. Yeah, that make more sense. But even so, the rest of the season's done. I don't care about the Premier League season. We don't have to worry about where we're going to finish. We're not going down. I know we need money for every position you get is an extra couple of million quid, so possibly that's got into it. But you've got to go in order, the pecking order, and the pecking order is Lacazette, Aubameyang first, and then it's Martinelli, then it's Eddie, then it's Balogun. So Eddie came on as a sub, so it looks like he's back in the fold again of being involved. But it wouldn't be fair on Martinelli if you drop Lacazette, unless you're going to play Martinelli in one of the wide positions or in the 10.
Yeah, and you. I'm just celebrating being told that I was right about something for once.
Happy birthday. So as long as Martinelli starts the game, then Balogun can start up front if Martinelli's going to play in one of the wide positions or the 10 or whatever he does. But you can't, if it's only one starting striker, it can't be Balogun. It's got to be Martinelli because that's only fair. Or Lacazette, like Craig said, playing for an hour. Because he wants to beat, he's equalled his second best season with us with 17 goals. His most ever was 19 goals. He's got 8 games of the season, 7 in the league, 2 in the Europa League. So that's 9 games to go, I think, to try and get into his 20s, which would be brilliant for him.
And you never see Arteta. We've seen this with Chambers. We've seen this with Balogun. We've seen this with Martinelli. You never see somebody go from a 5-minute cameo at the end of the game to starter. You see the progression. Chambers played 3, then he came on as a sub again. Then he started in a situation. Same with Martinelli, starting to get more and more minutes, and then a start. So Balogun will get 5 minutes at the end of every game, and then it'll or it'll grow to 10 or 15, and then eventually, and hopefully it'd be, we've got Fulham, Newcastle, first leg, and then Fulham. Everton first leg and then Newcastle. Hopefully by that point Balogun will be ready for a start. I would love to see it.
I'm not as worried about Villarreal as I was about Slavia Prague. I think Villarreal will do them. They were half decent Spanish team. Now they're maybe 6th, 7th place. They've had a little bit of a decent run, but that's the only thing they got going for them is that. So no, I think we'll do Villarreal. Not that you're talking about that yet, but just talking about the fixtures. I'm not overly worried about Villarreal.
Well, that's another story altogether. we could do another 2 hours on that. When we talk about facing Unai Emery, I'm going to do that podcast from the bathroom. But in any case, okay. One more question. Last question.
How about this one, gentlemen? Question: would you guys swap Alba for Odegaard?
Direct, no money exchanging hands, just straight up.
You always like to do that. How Mike starts. You like to add and poke fun at these questions.
I need clarification. I do need clarification.
What would be fair? Alba plus 20 mil.
Who are you asking?
I would do that.
Mike. Sorry, I'm asking Magic.
He was thinking. Sorry.
Answer the question, please.
No, I would do that in a second. You're trading a 31-year-old for a 21-year-old with tremendous potential. Well, yeah, because otherwise Odegaard might cost 60, and this way we're valuing Alba at 40, and I would take 40 for Alba, as I've already stated. So, yeah. Simple maths. Craig?
Yeah, I would. And then I would sell Odegaard to PSG for 150 million. And then I'd buy Haaland from Borussia Dortmund.
And I mean, I'm feeling generous today. Throw Bellerin into the deal with PSG. You know, if it gets if it gets the gears turning on the whole thing.
If he'll go.
He'll go.
If they don't raise the price on it, it's the old. You know, we offered 70 million for. Or no, I don't know.
It's a no-brainer, isn't it? It's a no-brainer.
Joke about Walcott. You know, we wanted Walcott plus somebody, and they asked us for less or something like that. I don't remember what it was, but anyway, Danny, do you make that deal?
Yeah,
absolutely. You have to. I mean, again, if Odegaard is destined for a starring role on what are considered the world's elite clubs, then if we're not part of that, PSG, the two teams in Spain, Bayern Munich, if that's where he's headed, I'd rather be, us be selling to them at a significant markup than someone else. So in any case,
I'm with Aston though. I'd feel awful. I would feel awful.
There's a lot of things that we would all do but feel awful about, and that's just one of them. So
most strikers like to move on every 3, 4, 5 years, and he's been with us for 3.5 seasons, and he's at that age where he's got that old phrase, one final big move in him, and going and playing in a retirement league like La Liga, where he'll get 70 goals a season for those shit teams.
I actually want to say that Aubameyang has said this publicly before, that his grandfather was a big Real Madrid fan, and that he said one day he wanted to play there. So I'll ease your guilt a little bit, and this might be a move that Alba himself might want. So off you go, son.
My granddad fought with the Nazis. Doesn't mean I'm interested in joining the German army. He was Italian, but he was on their side. God knows. Bless him.
Can't wait to meet him.
I don't even know his name. My name was a slapper.
All right, so
we're
gonna put a bow on it right there. I don't think there's any better way of ending the content portion of the pod. Here's the promotion portion. As long as you're still here, there's 2 new things that we're doing besides these once or twice a week panel
kettles.
Has nothing to do with kettles.
Oh, I'm not interested then. Carry on.
We're doing a prediction video. It's not a contest. It's not a show. It's just something to kind of get people's names and faces out there. So the day before every game, or even 2 days before the game, if you want to, don't wait for me to ask. Just do it. Send a 10 to 30 second video. You don't have to be naked like Danny was for his first one, or in bed like he was for the second one. But just give us your name, the city you're from, the score, and if you want to add any kind of comedic element to it or any kind of analytic element to it, you're more than welcome. But we just want to get some names and faces out there, and this isn't a live thing, so you can tape it how many times you want, and just send it to our Twitter DM, send it to our Instagram. You can reach out to me and tell me, you can mail it to me if you want.
An easy way to do it, if anybody wants an easy way, get on WhatsApp, record the video on WhatsApp, then DM that WhatsApp to yourself on Twitter, because you can send in, and then you've got the videos in your Twitter, and then DM that video to Mike, and then it's really easy way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll wrap as many of them as we can. We've had one with 27 predictions, one with about 17, and it's just fun. So we'd love to get more people involved. So please do that. And then after every game, an hour after the final whistle, at the top of the hour or the half hour, the half hour. This week is going to be 4:30 UK time, 11:30 Eastern time, 8:30 in the morning Mike Hernandez time. After the Fulham game is over, we're going to do another open mic special. You can come on the podcast, maybe 5 or 6 minutes of your views, a little bit of banter, chat, and no heavy lifting. It's just a fun time. And you just go to gooneropenmic.com for that one. It is always the same link. I do the magic behind the scenes to make it all work, but just www.gooneropenmic.com takes you right into what we now call the red room, because it's an Arsenal podcast. We don't have a green room. We have a red room. So those are the two things we're doing. Hopefully we'll see a lot of you in the red room on Sunday. Danny, it's been a pleasure as always.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's nice to have a chat.
When you're done scratching yourself, let everybody know where we can find you, and your podcast is still going strong, even if you can't get any of your mates to do it with you.
Fuck YouTube. I've now taken all donations, all adverts off of YouTube because them fucks are taking too much money. Ko-fi, Ki-F-O, K-O-F-I. Yeah, they take 0% of any donations. You can give them whatever you want. I've just set up one for the podcast, but don't go and look for it. I'm not plugging it. But as for where you can find me, working in the kettle department of Argos, I will give you a 10% discount if you come in and show me any of Mike's porn.
Fantastic. I usually keep that under lock and key, but now that my son is 17, I've relaxed some of the restrictions. So.
And wasn't he good? The last guest on your show. Very good.
It was an open mic, and he surprised me. Actually, he was 10 feet away from me, but in a different room.
Where you called him from? He went about 10 feet away.
I love Magic Jake, literally.
But how you two get on. It's good.
My
child disowned me, so I
that's not true. I take inspiration from watching you and Sean because she just adores you.
That's her name. Yeah, I forgot.
She clearly adores her dad. So. I was asked how you can send it if you don't have social medias, and that's a great question. Friend me on Facebook, Mike Feinberg. Search for Mike Feinberg Arsenal, and you'll find me. Anyone who's pretty much Arsenal related, I will accept a friend request from. It's pretty much all I use Facebook for. So, and then you can DM me on Facebook. So, Craig, lovely to have you back. You're just much better to look at than Lee Judges. And when faced to decide between you, the question is clear. I mean, look at that.
Look away, children.
Oh, he has. I just noticed he has earrings.
We should put like a warning on that before it plays in.
Hey, he had his name up in lights on the scoreboard. First person to get it, I'll have you know.
That's right.
Yeah.
Don't mess with the judge. He'll rub you out.
No, he'll rub something out. And in honor of Craig, who is a goalkeeper, and Owen, fellow resident of Ireland or Northern Ireland in his case, who can't he can't say the word burned, Leno. It's just bird, Leno. Burned. So we have this and we have that, and fortunately, his I don't know what kind of bird that is, but those are thanks to Sevi, who was in the chat before. But
he's always good.
We like to have a little bit of fun here on the Gooners Pub. But Craig, thanks for being part of it tonight.
Absolutely welcome, mate. Thanks for inviting me back. It's been very, very good, very enjoyable. Thank you.
And thank you for your measured, saying what you wanted to say and then not saying what you didn't want to say.
It's a skill you learn over the years.
Yeah. I'm still waiting, but and Mikey,
hey,
whose idea it was to pod tonight? Thank you, because these were the funnest 2 hours of my day so far.
Oh, this worked out brilliantly. I never like to pass up an opportunity to talk to Danny, and then Craig and we've been in contact through Twitter for quite a while.
I shared each of your WhatsApps with each other. I forwarded yours to him and his to yours. Where you?
Let me tell you. Let me tell you a quick story.
Yeah.
My daughter wanted this particular doll set. It was a frozen doll set. I couldn't get it anywhere, and I put a call to arms out on Twitter. Can anybody get me this doll set? Mike Hernandez, mate, sent it all the way from America to my front doorstep. What
Jeez, I didn't know that.
Man. What a man.
Mike never even told me that story.
He made my daughter the happiest girl on the planet that day. So I haven't been able to thank you in person. So thank you very much indeed, mate.
I hope that you're not repeating that sentence 20 years from now.
But isn't that only because 6 of his kids work in the sweatshop that makes them?
I'm so sorry. That's one of those I should have put back in my cheeks before.
Yes.
Thanks for ruining the moment, Mike. Thanks a lot. No,
Yeah.
sorry, Craig. No, you've been nothing but kind. You're always willing to help a Gooner when he's going through some mental states too. You're always a open ear. So massive love for you, man, and absolutely. And another fun fact about Craig and I is both our daughters were born the exact same day, and yeah, so they're the exact same age and everything. So fun fact, yeah, it caught me off guard one day. I'm just picking up my daughter on her birthday, and Craig's like, well, hey, had a brilliant time with my daughter and her birthday party. I'm like, you're kidding. And she, also the same age. I'm like, shit, man, small, crazy little coincidence, man. But anyways,
the only guy I share a birthday with is Kenny Ken. And I love Kenny, but that's not as fun as the daughter story.
Yeah. I mean, I got Aaron Ramsey. No, I mean, I don't know how Arson always forgets my birthday over Ramsey's, but whatever.
Well, I shouldn't be celebrating either at this point.
I've got Tony Adams and Charlie George, if anyone cares.
Charlie George.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Craig, who do you got?
Kieran Dyer.
Oh,
Okay.
oh. That's the gift he keeps on giving.
Actually, I used to play with. I was in the same team as him at youth level at Ipswich Town.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'd like to see you in goal against the Judge.
Literally used to live across the road from Portman Road. Literally. He used to walk across the road to training from his house. When he was playing for Ipswich one night, he actually broke his leg. He scored a penalty with a broken leg. And he had to come off. And they actually, instead of taking him to hospital, they rung his mum to come from the house, and his mum come from the house. It was literally like a 2-minute walk from the ground to come over to the house because he'd broken his leg. Yeah, there you go. It's a little bit of stupid information for you.
Isn't this nice? Bulgarian Gooner shares a birthday with Mike's old high school friend Jesus.
So we saw a video.
I was going to ask, is that the world's Jesus, or is that like city's Jesus? Just seeking clarification here.
Are we going to get to see a video like Mike and Andy did of them two taking penalties against each other with you and the judge? I'd love to see that.
Ooh.
Oh, that's.
I'm sure we could get that done.
You got to use if I may try to commandeer that into a charity prize for Gooners versus Cancer. Like the winner will get to see the preview of the video before it goes live of you guys doing it. I mean,
if we look, next time I go to England, whenever that will be, I'm not too sure. With everything that's going on at the moment, next time I go to England, Lee's quite close to where I come from, actually. So yeah, we'll get that sorted.
And if everybody wants to do one with me in goal, let me know. As long as I can wear ice hockey equipment.
The thing is, I'd probably lose that one.
Could we not try and recreate the scene from my left foot?
Okay.
Give that a go. That might work.
I don't want to end this, but we probably should. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's hope we have another happy open mic show on Sunday. Get in your predictions and picks. You can start anytime from now up until Saturday afternoon, because I don't want to be editing these on Sunday morning before an 8:30 kickoff my time. So with that said, come on, you Gooners.